Hey, everybody. Welcome to the Players Deck episode 123. I'm your host, Justin and Montrell, joined by my co-host. He no longer plays PS5, Montrell.
Yep, you heard him. I haven't touched my PS5 legitimately in like a month. I
know.
over-exaggerate, said 2
How
months.
dare you?
Like a month.
You are the co-host of a video game podcast.
I've been playing multiplayer games, and they're just better on PC.
You motherfucker, man. You know how many people out there would kill to have that PS5 that just sit languishing on your shelf?
I feel so fucking bad.
You know?
Guys, it's actually not even what it's chalked up to be. I'm being completely honest with you. It's not. I don't even know why I stayed up I bought it on like when it first got announced. But like, yeah, I remember I actually drove home from work to pick it up and everything. It was crazy.
Mm-hmm. I mean,
not worth it,
dude. It's worth it. Don't listen to
me.
Guys.
It is worth it.
It's worth it. The load times alone are worth it. Okay, you don't have to waste your life watching loading screens anymore. Okay.
Yeah. Okay.
Great,
that is a good,
bro. I'm playing an MMO, an MMORPG on a console that loads faster than I've ever seen it load on a PC. Like, I'm flitting around the world like crazy in Final Fantasy 14, and the game loads instantly in like 2 seconds. There's no delay. Like, it's bonkers. And that's an MMO. So it's worth it. It's worth it. Just get it. Just get it if you can.
If you can. I mean, they did say they're going to restock, and I have been seeing that it's a little bit easier to get them now.
Mm-hmm.
It's still hard to get an Xbox Series X, but the prices have been dropping. Like the scalpers have been dropping. They're pretty much $600 now, especially if you go on apps like Let Go and Macari. Like they're pretty much $600 to $650. That's
really
okay. Yeah, that's the highest I've been.
I mean, dude, if you can get it for that price, I think that's worth it. An extra 100, like I would probably pull that trigger. You know, the 200 to 300 that it wasn't worth it for me, but just 100, I might do that. But
yeah.
Well, Montrell, you know, if you don't use your PS5 soon, we may have to just do a giveaway here on Twitter with the
Definitely
show.
Not.
And
Not
we'll give away Montrell's used PlayStation 5 console with all the dust and wear that it is accumulated by not being used.
I actually just like spray canned it or air canned it.
Oh yeah, okay.
It has dust on it. Yeah.
Okay, it's nice and pretty.
Yep, no, it's nice and pretty.
I'm glad it can be nice and pretty on your desk where you do nothing with it. It's great. It's awesome.
It's on the floor.
It's on the floor? No, don't tell me it's on the carpet. Don't tell me you have it on carpet.
No, I have hardwood floors.
Okay, all right. Don't be that guy. All right. Yeah. Okay. Well, Montrell, I have a really important question for you too.
What's up?
Pokemon. My copy of Pokemon Heart Gold on the DS is probably worth $150 to $200.
Oh my god.
Should I sell it?
No, keep that.
You're right.
That's a masterpiece of a game.
That's
like the best.
It is a masterpiece.
That is the best Pokemon game.
It's a 10 out of 10 Pokemon game. Like straight up, nothing will ever see. This is. I don't want to get into a deep Pokemon discussion right now, but that game is what I compare every subsequent Pokemon game to, and nothing has ever shown even the remotest candle to it.
Like, and that is not nostalgia. That is like legit.
No,
like,
it's straight fact. It's straight fact. It's straight. I'm talking absolute fact right now. It is not a subjective opinion. It's just reality, you know?
Yeah, like that's dead ass a good Pokemon game. Like to make that Pokemon game, first of all, Gold and Silver was already GOAT because you went back to the last fucking region. So you had 2 regions, and then they remade it with like better battle animations and everything like that.
More Pokemon are in it too.
Yeah, more Pokemon are in it, and like it's so surprisingly kind of balanced and still difficult. Like, yeah.
Well, you can also repeat gym battles as well in that game.
Oh shit, really?
You didn't know that? Yeah, you can go back and battle gym leaders after you beat the game. Like you fully beat it. You beat it. You beat the Johto region. You beat Kanto. After you beat the Elite Four in Kanto for the second time, the game you go into like post game. And you can repeat certain battles, and the trainers will get stronger every time you battle them. So their Pokemon will level up. So you'll go fight like Misty again, and she'll have like more Pokemon than she had before. She'll have like a full team of 6 or something, you know. And they're like a little bit more leveled up than they were before. Some of them might be evolved. Some of the ones that weren't evolved might be evolved now, you know, and things like that. So So yeah, dude. That like things like that. The game had just like little features like that. There were like timers for things where there would be events in game based on your real world clock as well that would
I
happen
do
in the
remember that.
game based
Yeah,
on the day of the week too. Some things would happen in game. Like this game was like, oh, it's so good.
that game was groundbreaking because that was even in an original. I remember you had to do certain things on certain days
Yeah.
just to, and it was so good, man. That game was so.
I think
That
that's
was
our
a
problem with the Pokemon Company is that there was a period in time where they were ambitious and that game
yeah.
was it. And they've never been that since, So anyways, before we get too far into that rabbit hole, for those of you who haven't listened before, this is our weekly show where we talk about video games, video game news, and other topics pertaining to video games. We post at 6 a.m. Central Time on Fridays on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, and your favorite podcast app of choice. And if you have a question for us, please send it to theplayerstake01@gmail.com or at theplayerstake on Twitter, just like that dude did once again, holding it down, holding the fort down, getting us those questions, those sweet, sweet listener questions. We will answer those at the end of the episode to kind of wind us down for the week. But if you're listening and you have questions for us, please send those in to either place that I just mentioned, and we will answer those on the show. We love doing that. So this week, kind of a weird week post E3. I'm going to be honest, there's really not a lot going on in gaming. So E3 kind of sucked all the oxygen out of the room, and I think we're all just trying to catch our breath right now. So not a lot going on. There's like a Kojima conspiracy happening. It's not really noteworthy, though, in my opinion. There's a lot of talk about the Death Stranding reveal, and is that a Kojima reference with something, or is something happening there with PlayStation? I don't know. I don't really feel like speculating about it. Avengers is posting people's IP addresses on screen, so streamers are getting doxxed by playing the game on stream.
Wait, what? I didn't.
Yeah, man. Dude, you didn't hear about that? Like, yeah. So they patched the game. The Crystal Dynamics patched Avengers, and the new patch shows your IP address on the screen. So streamers were turning the game on, and they didn't know this, and their IP address was on the screen. And,
oh my god!
Like their public IP, like they fucked,
Oh my
man.
god!
And I think some bad shit happened to some of them. So that is an absolute amateur hour, like just face palm level.
Why are we still playing this game at this point?
Just shut it down, Square. Just end it, please. You've made enough money. I think you made your money back at this point. Just shut it down, dude. Like this game's embarrassing. Just end it, okay? Just stop.
Oh
it's
what a waste of Crystal Dynamics talent, by the way.
Absolutely.
Holy
and
shit.
Eidos, because Eidos did do some work on that game too. Like, fuck that game. What a waste of time that was. I know there were some people who liked it. More power to you. I'm happy you got a game you like, but man, for me, Crystal Dynamics is a talented studio. They could have been doing much better things, in my opinion. But
yeah.
Oh well, it happened. Here we are.
You gotta pay the bills, put food on the table.
They gotta pay the bills, right? That's absolutely right. Square Enix putting them to work. All right, Montrell. Well, we're still gonna go through the normal roll the show. So let's start with what we've been playing. You said you're mostly playing multiplayer stuff. Do you have anything to say about League before I get into my game? The one game I played.
No, I don't have anything to say. I'm probably gonna. I'm probably gonna start streaming when my computer gets built. So probably next month, and I'm gonna be streaming League and Final Fantasy 14. So yeah, but that's about it.
Cool. I may be joining you with that. So I fibbed. I played 2 games. One we're gonna talk about in a second, but the other one I decided to try the Stranger of Paradise Final Fantasy Origin demo. Once it was actually working and available, which took a couple days for some reason. Not a great start for this game, but once the demo was accessible, I actually played it, and I'm gonna be honest, dude. This game is gonna be fun. I actually think this game is going to be really good. It's just the aesthetic is such a hard miss for me that it's gonna be hard to get over that. To be honest, because I really wish this game had more of a cartoony look, like more like a traditional Final Fantasy 1 look, where the Warrior of Light had that like like that blue armor, that like blue and silver armor that he traditionally wears, because that look for that look just looks excellent to me. What they ended up doing with this, with Jack and his two buddies, whatever the fuck they are, whoever they are, it's just not working for me. And honestly, like his jeans look is just so stupid. Now, I will say, playing the game, there are drops, like equipment drops, and you put them on and they change what you look like. So there is aesthetic, like you don't have to look stupid the whole game. Is kind of what I'm saying, I guess. But so far, don't love the look of most of the armor. It doesn't look super great, but it's early game, I'm sure, so it's fine. But the real star of the show here is going to be the combat, and that it kind of is the star of the show. I will say it is not. It's a little rough around the edges right now. I feel like it's not as tight as Neo was. However, there are a ton of similarities to Neo, because they don't have stance swapping the way they did in Neo. However, you can change your class on the fly, like your job on the fly, which completely changes what abilities and weapons you're using. And you can do that at the drop of a hat, pretty much anytime you want. So that's kind of their way, I think, of doing the stance swapping without having it the way Neo did.
Yeah.
And it's a really cool system. So there are jobs in the game, as there are jobs in a Final Fantasy game. The three that were available in the demo were swordsman, black mage, and black mage, and then lancer, I think. And I think there was one more that I didn't unlock as well. But there's more than that in the main game. They didn't have everything in this demo, of course. But so that's the cool part. And these jobs have skill trees, which then when you get to the end of them, you can unlock an advanced job for that job as well. So the swordsman one, I think, unlocked into warrior, and then I think mage turned into black mage, and then the lancer one turned into dragoon, I think, something along those
Wow.
lines.
Okay. This sounds
Yeah.
good.
So traditional like Final Fantasy jobs. And so far the magic system, so you can be a mage, and the magic system is kind of cool. Actually, you have to like hold your magic and charge it up, but it has 3 levels of charge. So you start with like fire, and then you go to Fira, and then you go to Firaga if you hold it down long enough. And the power level
Okay.
up for each level is significant. Like it's a big increase. So it's a pretty interesting system, and you can kind of weave it in between attacks if you get an opening. Magic can be very potent as well on groups of enemies. If you can catch them all bundled together, I did it a few times, and they're weak to the specific magic you're using, you can break them all in one go with one spell cast, and then you run in there and you just fucking wail on them with like an AoE attack or something, and you can kill them all like in no time. So it's an interesting system. Every enemy has weaknesses too. This is going to be much more of a kind of like almost like Persona like, where you're really going to be looking for those weaknesses and exploiting those. Compared to Neo, where weaknesses it was a thing in that game, but it wasn't really like a huge deal for the most part.
Yeah.
This is going to be a much more focused system in that regard, which is cool. I like that. I think it's going to work well too. But their enemies also have like stamina. You also have stamina as well. Now, getting staggered though in this game, like losing your stamina bar, is very, very punishing. You kind of stand still for several seconds while you catch your breath, and the enemies do the same thing. But when you break an enemy, if you hit circle, you will instantly KO them. You'll do like a grab attack and KO them, and that's when he does the like crystallized thing he was doing in the trailers, where he crystallizes an enemy with the red crystals, and then he smashes the crystals after he does that. He kills the enemy, and then he screams like, "Roar!" Fucking, he's like fucking Uberman or whatever. So there's some cool systems here. The game, the demo was actually pretty difficult in spots, especially the boss, where you fight Chaos, question mark. He's not actually Chaos yet, but you fight him. He has 2 phases. The first phase is pretty easy, but the second phase is a lot more intense. I kind of gave up before. There's no reason to beat the demo, so I did it a few times. I couldn't beat him, and then I moved on. But it was a fun boss fight. Your party members actually fight with you too in it, and they kind of got their asses kicked for me most of the time. But it's nice to have them there as support because they kind of will. I think they heal. I think one of them heals you maybe a little bit, and there's also some innate healing you get from some of the job commands as well, which was interesting. Like Warrior had like this war cry ability. I'd use it, and I think it gave me an attack buff, but it also healed me over time too. So I wasn't just completely reliant on potions, which was an interesting thing. So
Okay.
there's a little bit of interesting stuff there. There's decent complexity. I think this game is going to be very challenging as well. And then the gear. So the gear is cool as well. So it has rarities just like Neo. There was like white, yellow, blue in the demo. If what I saw, like white was basic, like common. Yellow was a little rarer, and then blue was like the good shit. That was like the rare stuff. But the items have an affinity for a specific job, and you will get more bonuses out of them if you are wearing them while you are that job while you are being in that role, right? So you're wearing a piece of gear that has a warrior affinity, and you're a warrior, you'll get bonus stats for that affinity, which is nice. So it's cool too because you can make like gear sets very easily in the game. The game kind of just gives you like you'll be the job, you put the armor you want to wear on, and you can actually just save it within the same menu, and it will save it as a gear setup, and then you'll switch to another job, and you'll have to start over and make a new set for that job, but you're going to want to anyways because of this affinity, the way the affinity works anyways. So it's interesting. I think there's some depth here. I think it's gonna be cool.
Yeah, it
There
sounds
were
like it's going to be really cool. I didn't know it was going to be that intuitive. I thought it was going to be
yeah
like a regular single player game type
yeah
deal.
yeah no. It looks like they really put a lot of what they learned from Neo in here, and that's good. That's what I was hoping for. It's just I just I don't want to keep harping on this, but the aesthetic is just such a letdown. It's the one
Yeah.
thing that's going to hold this game back. And Jack in particular, the main character, is going to hold this game back as well because he's like an echo of Kratos from the early God of War games. Like he's just a ball of anger. Just screaming about chaos every time he can, and fucking he's very angry. He kills enemies and he's just like yelling bloody murder, like it's
So I'm assuming you can't change that character. But I heard his
no.
appearance changes when you change armor. Like you can put like regular traditional Final
Yeah.
Fantasy 1 armor on him.
Yep.
Right? Okay.
Yeah. I didn't see a lot of the good armor necessarily in terms of looks in the demo, but I imagine there's going to be some cool looking shit in the late game for this game. But yeah, his look though, you cannot customize it as far as I know. Like he's just going to look like that, buzz cut white guy look. So
Okay.
it kind of is what it is on that front. But there's a lot of equipment, especially like helmets and stuff that like really obscure his face and his head. So this is going to be one of the few games that I play where I actually want to see headgear for the most part, like fully see it where it completely takes over the model's like head slot. So I'll kind of just embrace that probably if I'm being honest. But yeah, it looks cool. I would recommend you try the demo out too, Montreal. I would be interested to hear what you think of it. It's interesting. I'm looking forward to playing the full game because there's more weapon types available than the ones in the demo, and ones that I'm going to want to play, like Dagger, I think is in there, and then there's dual swords as well is another one.
Okay.
The only ones they had available was like two-handed greatsword, lance, mace, and then I think that was it. Actually, I think it was those three, and that was it. So yeah, it looks good. Is there anything you want to see out of that game that you're hoping for?
Uh I actually just want to from what you're telling me, it's way more than I already expected already. I thought it
Yeah.
was going to be like a straight up it almost sounded like what they're doing with what they did with Neo 1, how they just made a traditional character, and
Yeah.
then if this goes really good and there's a Final Fantasy Origins like -2 or something like that, right?
Mm-hmm.
I'm pretty sure the next game you're gonna be able to customize your character.
Yeah,
So I don't know.
probably. I wouldn't be surprised. Well, you know what would be cool is this is ambitious, but maybe if this is successful, you do this with like Final Fantasy 2. you know,
Ooh, okay, yeah,
and then like Final Fantasy 3 or 4, you know, and then you start getting to the ones we know, like with 4 and 6,
yeah,
and you can do some really cool shit with those, I would think, you know, and then maybe even down the road, maybe 7, you know, you can make like a soldier game or something. So I don't know. That's like thinking way too far ahead here, but
yeah. I
um,
mean, from what you're telling me, I mean, and this is probably why. I mean, I haven't played it yet, but just from what you're telling me, it sounds really good. And this is why I was so offended last week when people were calling Team Ninja a B team because
yeah, you know,
that's that's actually cool. They're turning this game into an RPG. I mean, it already been an RPG, but they're trying into their version of what an action RPG is,
hmm
and they're still using the Final Fantasy themes and all that stuff like that. So that's
hmm
pretty cool.
the music's good too. I gotta give a shout out to that. I think the soundtrack for this game might be pretty good.
Okay.
The Yeah, and I mean that's why I defended them last week. That's why we both did, because it's like I trust them when it comes to gameplay, you know. Their strength is not story it's not story, and it's also not really aesthetic. Like Neo, I think Neo and Neo 2 are their best looking games that they've made, but they still don't look like great compared to other games, you know? Like that's not their forte, I guess, is what I'd say. Like their
Okay.
forte is making really tight good gameplay, you know. That's always been their forte. And they're going to nail that. So, you know, I'm not too concerned, I guess. After playing this demo, I think I'm a lot more positive on this game going forward. I'm looking forward to it for sure. So we'll see where it goes.
Okay.
All right.
Cool.
We're both still playing Final Fantasy 14 as well. Montrell, do you have any further thoughts? I guess you've kind of gotten a lot further here. I think you finished Heavensward this past week, right? Is that correct?
Yeah, I did. I didn't really tweet about it too much, but yeah, I actually enjoyed the story of Heaven Sword a lot. I'm enjoying the story. I haven't really done the story because I just finished getting my ether currents the last time I played, and then I did some dungeons with you guys.
Yeah.
So now I'm about to start the patches story, and I'm
Yep.
actually looking forward to it because that warrior of spoiler alert if you haven't played, it's old as fuck anyway. The warrior of darkness has shown his face, and
Mm-hmm.
I'm very intrigued by that storyline. Just having a warrior of darkness, like someone who's the opposite of you, pretty much.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Um, but as far as like the end of the story goes and everything of that nature of Heaven's Sword, like I know the last boss fight was like very easy and wasn't really worth too much, but I was just so amazed by the spectacle of it. It was very Final Fantasy,
Yep.
like, and I loved it. I love how unapologetically Final Fantasy they were in that fight. It was really fucking cool.
Yeah.
Um, the story was really good too. I liked everything about Heaven Sword, to be honest with you. I mean, there were some slow parts, but it was a vast. You can tell it was a significant improvement upon ARR because they learned a lot from ARR, and
Yep.
I'm looking forward to the patches to see how much those improve compared to ARR. Because to be honest with you, I just been dragging along because I'm like, ugh, I don't want to do the patches because I'm so scarred by the ARR patches.
Yeah, they were
But
bad. Yeah.
from what you telling me, and then from what Snakes were telling me, it's not all that bad. So,
No,
um,
I was telling you the other day, it's actually that the Heaven Sword patches are like my favorite section of the story so far.
yeah,
I think the story in there is really good. There's some really good stuff. The Warrior of Darkness arc is really cool. I think it has a really cool end too. And I have gotten to a point in the story where it kind of connects back to that storyline a little bit, and that's fucking cool as fuck. So I'm really excited to keep playing because I actually just got to Shadowbringers last night.
okay,
Finally, I finished the Stormblood patches. And yeah, for me, I think Heaven Sword is still the best section of the game for me. I think the main story of Heaven Sword and the patches were just solid all around. I really
okay,
liked the like Lord of the Rings esque journey you take in Heaven Sword to like the Dravania, and
yeah,
like it's really cool. You have this like little mini fellowship with like the four of you with Estinian and Iceheart and Alphino and yourself, and there's some really like cool moments in there where these characters are interacting and they're kind of begrudgingly working with each other and they don't want to, but then over time they kind of get a little bit of a soft spot for each other. You know, it's kind of cool. Like it's earned too, like these things, like because they really build the scenes together and like spend time examining these characters. You know, it's not just like something that happens with very little screen time to it. There's a
yeah,
lot of slow points, especially like towards the end of the journey. I remember where there's like a point where they're sitting, they're kind of camping out for the night, and they just have this like really long conversation about just like kind of philosophical about what they believe in, and how they're kind of coming to terms with each other, and the things they've learned together. And it's just like a cool conversation, and it's like nice. Most games don't take the time to have those moments in their story. It's usually go, 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 go kind of thing.
Yeah.
But this game doesn't do that. It has those slow moments.
Yeah, I think Ice Heart's. Speaking of like the character development, I think Ice Heart's development was really cool. Actually, what's his face? I can't pronounce his name.
Estinian?
Estidian.
Yeah.
I like his character arc too.
Yep. Yep.
Both of them had really good character arcs. But even the side characters, and I won't mention which one dies, but when they die, I was like, "What the fuck?" Like I didn't think it would hit me, but it actually hit me. And I'm like, "Damn,
yeah,
man!"
the
Like,
scene's really well done, dude.
yeah. So
your character like has this facial expression when he dies too. They're like really upset. Like your
yeah,
character's really fucking upset. It's like it's weird because you don't expect it, but yeah, it's like your character gets like really mad, and it's funny. It's actually interesting. So
yeah. So yeah, I enjoyed it. I enjoyed Heaven Sword, so I'm looking forward to the patches, and I'm actually going to dig into that tonight. So yeah.
Cool. We will continue to expound as we play more. I guess one more thing I do want to say is Stormblood. I did finish all of Stormblood, and Stormblood's solid, but it's definitely not my favorite content so far. It's better than A Realm Reborn, but it's definitely worse than Heaven's Sword for me. It drags quite a bit at times, and there's just not as many interesting characters, I guess. To me, and the story in that expansion was also like super fucking predictable, in a not great way, most of the time. So it's okay. It's good. It's serviceable. I think it's a solid expansion, but
Okay.
I'm kind of glad to be past it at this point. So Shadowbringers, what I've seen of it so far already, I'm like, this is much more. I think much more going to be much more up my alley. So that's going to be a fun one to get through too. So okay. So like we said, we don't really have news this week to discuss. There's not really any big stories we want to go over. So there's a couple topics that we want to talk about. And I guess, Montrell, do you want to introduce this first one? Because this is something you were having kind of a Twitter discussion out there with the people. And we both thought this would be a good topic to talk about on the podcast.
Yeah, so I mean, we applied this. I'm going to say hip hop, but you can, if you're listening, if you don't listen to hip hop, you can apply this to any field of music. So the question was, as a hip hop fan, as hip hop is ever evolving, old heads or old hip hop fans have to adjust and accept the fact that today's music is not really made for them. And my question is, should gaming be the same way? Should older gamers and reviewers, because a lot of reviewers are plus 25, should they change their standards of what games are today?
Yeah, so this is an interesting question. I I ca- I don't know. I'm gonna probably fence it on this one pretty
Okay.
hard. However, there are valid points on both sides of this equation, or all multiple sides of this equation. So I'm gonna start with the music side because that's the part that is the most obvious, I think, to most people. Because I think anybody who's listened to music for a long time, like even just 10 years, has likely had the experience where there's a band they love, and over time that band's music changes and you start to not like it as much anymore. I feel like that's a common human experience. I feel like that's happened to almost everybody. I'm
Yep.
not a big music person, and it's happened to me. There's a band called Opeth. They're a melodic death metal band. One of my favorite bands, but their more recent work in the last 10 years has completely gone away from what they did in the early years. They don't they were a band that kind of mixed growling and clear vocals together in death metal, and they had a really
Okay.
nice sound to them. But they completely went away from the growling vocals like 10 years ago. Part of it was because the singer couldn't really do it anymore. His voice was like fucking shot after doing it for like 15 or 20 years. But he also kind of just like looked back on that period of time with disdain. And this is like a common thing with, I feel like, with music artists, is they get to a point of like what feels like enlightenment where they just think their old work sucks and they hate their old music, even though their old music is what got them to where they are, and that's the thing for me that I have issue with is like, I think when an artist kind of gets away from what they started as and they leave their old fans behind, it's kind of a shitty thing because those people are the reason you are where you are, like I think forgetting that is folly on their part. I think that's where that disdain comes from, because you feel like you're almost like they don't care about you, even though I've listened to them for 15 years, or something like that, or however long the period of time is. But so that same logic, I think, can be applied to video games. And Blizzard's my most obvious example that I'm going to bring up, because World of Warcraft is like the easiest game to correlate this to, because early World of Warcraft is completely different from modern World of Warcraft, and like to the point that they had to re-release Classic because, modern WoW is not satisfying to a huge segment of their player base anymore. And that is kind of the thing, right? Like that they changed the game so much that it looks completely different, and it has alienated the people that made them successful. Me as an old World of Warcraft fan don't like current World of Warcraft, and that sucks because I was the one who helped build. I mean, I'm one person, one of millions, right? But that
Yeah.
ultimately, I'm not the only person that feels this way. There's millions of us probably that feel this way, and we are the ones that put Blizzard on the map. Like, we're the reason the game was successful because we played it and we paid the money for it, So it is shitty. I think that is shitty. And that I think it's something we do have to accept, but it's hard to accept because it's like a real thing. They're just kind of dropping us like a ton of bricks.
Well, I agree with that. And
Yeah.
I agree. I like this. I put this on Twitter like maybe 3 or 4 days ago, or
Mm-hmm.
2 or 3 days ago, rather. So I got a lot of opinions, and so what you said about Blizzard and you helping build Blizzard, or that game rather, and
Mm-hmm.
millions of other people like that. So not just you. I understand you saying not just you.
Right.
I guess one can interpret. I understand what you're saying, but I guess as a developer, one can interpret that as a sense of entitlement, right? And
Yeah.
same with artists, right? So one of my favorite artists, who's not really my favorite anymore, to be honest with you, I haven't liked his music in the last probably same.
Mm-hmm.
Last time I listened to one of his albums and liked his albums was like 2013.
Yeah.
Uh, but it was Kanye West. Kanye West was one of my favorite uh, rap artists of all time, and he just had a lot of like soul in his music. Like there was a lot of feeling in his older music.
Mm-hmm.
And I say that would change around like maybe 2008, 2009 ish, or maybe 2010 rather. That's when it kind of changed and shifted because it didn't come from a place of like struggle anymore. It came from a place of like almost like arrogance, and you can
Mm-hmm.
see it in his music. And I mean, well, Montrell, Kanye West has always been arrogant. You are correct. He's always been arrogant, but his music has always been humble, in my
Yeah.
opinion. But now it was spilling over into his music, and his music was getting gradually worse. And so but one of the one of the key conversations for Kanye West, which is interesting, is newer people like 2010, when kids were like 15 in 2010, right?
Mm-hmm.
And he dropped, which is to me, this is one of the most controversial albums. It was called Yeezus, and everybody, I mean everybody my age who were like Kanye West fans, hates fucking Yeezus. We think that's the falling point where he just got terrible. But
Mm-hmm.
Yeezus, to a lot of younger kids, like a lot of younger generations and a lot of younger rappers that are out right now, they're like 24, 25.
Mm-hmm.
Yeezus was the album that like made them get into music, or just they were like, "Oh, Yeezus is like perfect, man. I don't understand why you like Yeezus so much." And I listen to Yeezus and I don't get it. But like my cousin, he can listen to Yeezus and he's like, "Oh, this shit is just wow. What the
Mm-hmm.
fuck? It's so good."
Yep.
So, um, I just thought that was interesting because I think video games work like that too. I think I can play Fortnite, right? I think
Mhm.
Jet and Xander are a perfect example. Xander can play Fortnite and it's a shooter and it's a battle royale. He can play Fortnite and just play it and be like, yo, I'm having a time of my fucking life. And Jet can play it and be like, I fucking hate this game. Like I hate this game
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
whatever. And I mean, obviously it's a clear difference, right? It's not like a album or anything like that. And Fortnite is more cartoony, and I'll say like to a game like PUBG, which is like more serious and things of that nature. Um, but PUBG is one of those games that actually blew up on mobile rather than it blowing up on PC. It started on PC first, got really successful, fell off, but then blew up again on mobile. And mobile gaming for like younger generation, that's their shit. Like they love that shit. Like 15 and up. Today, mobile gaming is what they know. They didn't really grow up with the Game Boy. They didn't really grow up with the Game Gear. I
Mhm.
think the closest they may have had was a PSP or a Vita or whatever, but they didn't really grow up with those. They because cell phones were already taking the wave as far as playing games.
Mhm.
Um, but it's like even but when I play games now, I really do have to go into a mindset that maybe this game isn't designed for me in mind.
Yeah.
And I think that actually works both ways because I mean we bring it up all the time, and it's a dead horse by now. But reviewers in Sekiro saying, "Hey, give me an easy mode." No, I think asking for an easy mode from developers is a sense of entitlement, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Uh, because the game wasn't designed like that. If they didn't want to put a fucking easy mode in their game, then who are you to tell them to put an easy mode in their game?
Mhm.
And obviously, it's so millions of people like what they offer, and that's
Yeah.
the game. So, but my thing is like, say Battlefield for instance, right? We saw how that game, or I
Mhm.
can even say Call of
Mhm.
Duty. I think Call of Duty and Battlefield are really good examples. We saw what those games were started out as, and then we saw what they became. Obviously Battlefield is one that hits heavy for nostalgia because now Battlefield 2042 is going back to the original way Battlefield was played. But Call
Yeah.
of Duty keeps going in this new wave. It won't go back to the old modern warfare, just regular boots on the ground type shit. And when they did try to do it, the newer generation didn't like it. So
Yeah.
it's like as a developer, how do you balance that? And even as a gamer ourselves, growing up in this mindset, because Sonic is one of them. Like a lot of newer generations, a lot of people don't like Sonic Adventure. They think Sonic Adventure is just very
Mhm.
primitive. It doesn't play well, and a lot of older Sonic heads are blinded by nostalgia, and it's like, yeah, but then you play the newer Sonic games and everything's just a straight line, boost the win, go. So it's like, but they
Yeah.
would tell you that no, Montreal, there's more uh intricacies within that boost to win. There is level of exploration and stuff like that. Where I play it and I'm like, whatever. I'm pressing next and I'm going the fastest and that's what I gotta do. And I don't know where the balance comes in. I don't know how we can have a civilized conversation as far as gaming wise. Like I had a really civilized, surprisingly civilized conversation on Twitter. If I wanted to be a little bit more like clapbacky, I could
Mhm.
have, but I was just listening to people's opinions and everything like that and taking into account what they had to say. Um, I don't think it's wrong for older generations. I think we have older generation of gamers have a higher standard of gaming.
Yeah.
But I do think to a certain extent, older generations are holding gaming back as well. It's a twofold, right? Like we can
Mhm.
criticize because we already seen this, but in the same sense, we are also holding generations of gaming back. I think
Yeah.
Pokemon's a good example of that. Um, I don't think older gamers are holding that back. So Pokemon's interesting, and I don't want to get into a deep dive about Pokemon and why it's bad and why it's good. I'm just going to say I think Pokemon's a very interesting dynamic because that game does keep the same formula, right? Um,
Yeah.
Old head and new heads alike know basically the gameplay of that.
Mhm.
And it was a really good social experiment to see when Pokemon Yellow came out on the Wii U. And people were older, newer kids were playing that game, and they were just like mind blown by the shit that they're used to. Like Brock was the actual gate for people.
Yeah.
And they just couldn't. A lot of kids couldn't figure that out at the time. They were kids at the time. They just couldn't fucking figure it out. But then we got us newer people where we play these Pokemon games and we already know it. But Pokemon hasn't changed. Like I said, Pokemon hasn't changed. So we have kids who came into like the 5th gen, the 6th gen. This is all they know. So they're like, why does it need to change? It's still new to us.
Yeah.
And then us, the older generation of Pokemon fans, was like, well, they've been doing this shit for 20 years. So something needs to change. I mean, obviously they're changing now, or they're experimenting now with Arceus. Or is it Arceus? Yeah, Arceus.
Arceus, I don't know.
Yeah, I forgot. I can't pronounce his name, but Arceus or
Yeah.
Arceus or whatever.
Yeah.
So obviously they're experimenting now with that. But it's like, look how far we had to go to get to that experimentation. And even then, I actually see a lot of older heads rather are ecstatic. We're like, oh my God, finally, thank you. This is the fuck we've been asking for. But the younger generation of kids are like, what the fuck is this? Am I still going to get my standard Pokemon shit? Because I started playing Pokemon in fucking X and Y. So I'm only 2 Pokemons behind. I started playing Pokemon in Sword and Shield. So I'm only 1 Pokemon behind.
Yeah.
So
well,
you see where I'm going with this, right? Like,
yeah, but there's a simple answer to your question there. To me, is that they're younger. They just haven't played as many games. Like their like knowledge sphere of video games is smaller than ours, and I'm not like putting them down. That's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah.
But it's just a reality. Like we've been playing games since the 90s. Like 25 years plus that we've been playing video games. Like we just have a larger range, and we've been through almost the entire journey the video game industry has taken. Like Montrell and I were born like the perfect year, basically, to become gamers, because we lived through the Super NES, the N64, PlayStation 1, PlayStation 2, GameCube, Xbox, up till now. And that is a huge journey to go through with video games. Whereas a lot of these younger kids, they grew up with GameCube when games were already 3D. There's a big difference, and to me that difference, that there's a huge mentality difference there, because I think there's a reason why we harp on developers putting more effort into games, and we harp on microtransactions and lazy developers. I think there's a reason we harp on that so much, is because we lived through a time with Super NES and N64 where hardware limitations were such that developers had to try and make an excellent video game for it to keep your attention. Like it wasn't a thing where they could it wasn't easy to make a game that played well. Whereas now it's not that hard to make a game that plays well. These engines do a lot of the work for you, with some of this stuff, with control and just the way camera movement happens and stuff like that. A lot of that's taken care of by some of these engines. And there's just so much to kind of draw from as well, prior games to draw from, that there's proven methods to make a game fun, between control and design and things like that. And even the way a game looks too. There are proven methods for that. When back in the 90s, every console that came out was a new experience. Like there was no proven method on N64 of what a fun game is in 3D. Like it wasn't really proven at that point. There were some PC games maybe you could point to, but like in terms of the games that were being made in the console space, like Super Mario 64 or Wave Race, or like Diddy Kong Racing or Mario Kart or Star Fox, those kind of games didn't really exist on PC for the most part, like the way they were being made on N64. So making a fun game was a lot harder because you had nothing to draw off of for the most part, and the longer we go now, I'd say for the last 3 generations, a lot of the design philosophies from PS3 can still be applied now. It's just you have better graphics and you have more power at your disposal, so you can do more with the game. But a lot of the games we were playing on PS3 are very similar to the games we're playing now. It's just the games we're playing now have 15 years worth of development knowledge to draw from when they're making their game, so that element to it makes it so that the younger generation that didn't play those games as much, like they may have played some of them, but they didn't live through it, so they weren't playing a ton of those games. They don't have that frame of mind or frame of reference really to draw from necessarily. So the games they're playing, that's kind of what they know. It's like when you play Final Fantasy 14 and you've never played an MMO before, you think that shit's great, and it is great. But as we've been trying to tell Snakes as we were playing Final Fantasy 14 with him, is that there are other games that have done many of these systems better, in our opinion. Or granular things. But that the thing is, like, Snakes, he's not played an MMO before. He's never played an MMO. He has no idea. So he just thinks this game is fun, and it is fun. And it's like we're not trying to ruin it for him. But
yeah.
The thing is like what we find fun in an MMO is different from what he finds fun in an MMO, and that I think that is ultimately the point of the conversation, is that old versus new maybe isn't the discussion, because I think we all have different tastes, whether we're old or young. There may be trends within those age groups, but to me, it's more along the lines of, I don't know. I think it's a balancing act for some developers. I think Blizzard, there's kind of a pendulum, right? Blizzard swung all the way the other way with their games, where they basically said, fuck our old fans. We don't care about anything you guys want. We're making games for the largest audience possible, and that means they're not going to be fun for you, and we don't give a fuck. That's pretty much what they've done with all their games. And that's fine. They make a ton of money off that mentality. However, there's a ton of resentment towards Blizzard because they don't give a shit about their old fans. And that is a consideration. They didn't have to take that path. They could have taken more of a middle ground, where they still kind of paid homage to their old fans, or made their games in such a way that their old fans would still find them enjoyable while still appealing to a broader audience. But what they did, they just went all the way. They just went all the way on the other side of the design spectrum. And I think other companies are a little bit more like reverent of their own stuff. Like BioWare, when they make this new Mass Effect, I'm expecting it to be much more in line with the original Mass Effects, not Andromeda. Andromeda was them kind of going away from what made Mass Effect successful, and it kind of worked in some ways, like you were talking about with gameplay, right? But in terms of the story, the things they did there didn't work, right?
So that's actually an interesting point. So someone brought up remasters and how that's actually holding the industry back as well, because we gamers always want remasters of this, remasters of that. I want a remaster. I want this remaster. I want that remaster. He's not wrong about that. We do always want remasters. I was agreeing with him, but then I kind of thought about it and I kind of spent it on his head. And I think Mass Effect is a really great example. I looked at Mass Effect and nostalgia, and like this one girl said on Twitter, it was nostalgia and it's entitlement. And it was definitely entitlement, because I think about Mass Effect 3 and how everybody handled that situation. That was entitlement from the gamers through and through, in my opinion. Yes, the ending was shitty, and there were valid criticisms there, but like sending bomb threats and death threats and all this shit.
Demanding they changed the ending. Yeah, that was a bit much.
That was a bit much, and that was entitlement. But I think I used to look at Mass Effect, even with that, through nostalgia and rose-tinted glasses, even when I played it on the Xbox, right? Last year, and I was playing on the Xbox, I excused a lot of the stuff that I was running into because it was on the Xbox. And I'm like, okay, this is on the Xbox 360. This is why it's running like this, or this is why this is that and that third. But then the Legendary Edition came out, which is pretty much a fancy way of saying remaster. And I played it, and even though a lot of the stuff was fixed, loading times, 60 frames per second unlocked, crispness of the game, improved textures. Now I have nothing but else to look at but the flaws of the game. I have nothing else to look at but the gameplay design. And there are some significant gameplay designs in these games that I don't want to carry over to Mass Effect 4 or wherever they decide to call it. And there are legitimate things that I liked in Mass Effect Andromeda that I think they should carry on. I think the exploration aspect of Mass Effect Andromeda, despite the game being buggy, the world was full of life. if that makes sense. It wasn't the
Yeah.
Mako things on Mass Effect 1. Like the
Yeah.
world was actually full of life and stuff like that. And they actually tried to make a
Yeah.
decent world distinct from each one. And I actually remember each world, even though I haven't played that game in like 5 years. I remember each world and how it looks. Because that's how, in my opinion, that's how much effort they put into making each world that you explore feel unique.
Yeah.
Whereas in Mass Effect 1, I can't tell you the difference between a lot of these worlds because they didn't put
There's
a lot.
no difference. They're
Yeah,
just blobby, procedurally generated like messes, for the most part.
exactly. So
Yeah.
in that retrospect, it's like I do think we need remasters because one, I agree to a certain extent it does show interest in the game, right? And I think that's a shitty way of doing it. I think that's the most laziest way, but it does show interest in the game if they want to pursue it or whatever. I think like Ninja Gaiden, the reason why they put that out there is because Team Ninja probably wants to make another Ninja Gaiden.
Yeah.
Uh, but looking at Ninja Gaiden, there are obvious mistakes in those games and everything of that nature. I was just playing Ninja Gaiden and I'm like, man, what the fuck? Like, I can't believe I played this game like this. It was
Yeah.
like weird. I couldn't. They were still running on like a single stick system, and the camera will automatically turn for you. You didn't turn the camera if you try to use the other stick. And this is before I didn't play the remaster. This is just like Xbox One backwards compat. If you tried to turn with the camera, it would go in the first person mode like you're trying to look. Like the camera's turned automatically. So it's
Yeah.
like stuff like that. I feel
Yeah.
like remasters in older games will give you appreciation for newer games, and we need them to kind of coalesce.
Yeah.
They need to be cohesive with each other, need to exist. So that's why I am a proponent of older games because not only can the younger generation play them and learn the groundwork, but even older generation of gamers can actually sometimes get out of that nostalgia bubble they have for these games and be like, whoa, I didn't realize that this shit
Yeah.
was crazy, or this was this and that and the third. I don't know. I just think it's a very unique conversation. It's an ever growing conversation. I wouldn't be surprised if we have this conversation a year from now because it's still
Yeah.
like our opinions will change on that,
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
yeah, I just thought that was a really interesting thing because music is ever evolving and video games are ever evolving. But that one thing that you did bring up is I do feel like, and this I don't feel like this is nostalgia talking, that there was more experimentation back in the day with the AAA studios. Now there's a lot of experimentation now, which a lot of people brought up with like indie developers because it's so accessible to build games
Yeah.
now than
Yeah.
back in the day. But now, but back in the day, we had a lot of indie or a lot of AAA and AA developers experimenting and having fun too. Like I remember watching the dev blogs for Mortal Kombat and how fun Midway was having they were called Midway at the time, not NetherRealm Studios. How
Yeah.
they were having so much fun making Mortal Kombat and stuff like that, and in Halo 2, and when Bungie was making Halo 2, and how they were just like, yo, we played the game before we even put it out. We played it like hours before we even did it because this was like so mind breaking and everything of that nature. Whereas now, how you say it, it's like a standard template. Like we already know
Yeah.
what people like. So no
Right.
one's really trying to deviate from it. And I think that's where a lot of older generation gamers are getting tired of it. We're tired of seeing the Call of Duties, the Pokemons, the Battlefields. We
Yeah.
want to see, we want these franchises to thrive, and we want more experimentation. That's why I think Nier Replicant, I think those blew up because people were just looking for something else. We were just so tired of what we were getting that
Yeah.
people actually just started like Nier sold good on the Xbox. And I'm not trying to knock Xbox gamers, but we really don't deviate outside our sports and first person shooters. For Nier to sell really well on Xbox, and I think another RPG sold really well on Xbox. That's something telling. Like people want more out of gaming. So
Well, Persona is another one too, dude. Like,
yeah,
there's a reason Persona's popular is because there's nothing like Persona. Like, Persona is its own game. It's its own genre, really. Yes, it's a JRPG, but like within JRPG, it's almost like a subgenre. And there are copycats but they're not good. Like Persona is it,
Yeah,
with
exactly.
that. And it, like, that uniqueness is valuable. So that's kind of where I come down on it, is that I don't think there's a right answer necessarily, but to me, um, we can't forget about the old games. Like we can't just move past them and forget they ever existed, because there's a lot of great ideas in those old games that I think we can bring forward. And also, I know you get sick of seeing all this retro design with like these 2D games and 2D platformers and stuff
Yeah.
in the indie space, but I'm glad that that space exists, because I don't want that style of game to die. 2D games, like sprite-based 2D games, can be fun. Like they can be more fun than 3D games. Just because a game is 3D doesn't make it better. Like 3D
Yeah,
on its own needs to make sense within the context of the game you're making,
yeah, and I
for
agree
me.
with that, and that's why I said like sometimes I like sprite based games and things of that nature, 2D games,
Mm-hmm.
and everything of that nature. Because I'm going to be playing Odin Sphere because I like the way that game looks. So I actually bought
Ooh,
that game,
oof, I can't
but
wait.
it's like I actually kind of I will renege on a lot of my opinions on that when I said that earlier. I agree with you. I think that I was wrong in that aspect. I do think those games do have a place, and they're easy to make and cheap to make because they don't require 3D graphics, and obviously sometimes that's just a design choice. And I
Mm-hmm.
think it does pay homage to where we came from as gamers.
Yeah.
Like a lot of kids didn't grow up with that. And I was looking at Minecraft the other day, and I think it's so amazing how that game is working with 90s graphics. Like that's how our games looked in the 90s,
Yeah. Yeah.
and like people are loving it, like the kids today love that shit. And I appreciate it. I don't like Minecraft. It's not my type
Yeah.
of game, I shouldn't say. So just because I don't like it, I don't think it's a great game. I think it's a really great game. It's just not for me.
Yeah.
Um, and maybe a lot of those indie games as well. They're great games, but some of them aren't for me, and then some of them are for me. Um, but I think it's just like an ebb and flow. We need to come with a balance with it. Or I think we have achieved a balance with it because I was actually surprised at how civil my conversations were on Twitter. Um,
Mm-hmm.
but I think reviewers, I don't think I think they either disregard the nostalgias too much, in my opinion, or they disregard the older stuff too much, and they just all new. And they don't really call shit out for what it is. Like there shouldn't be any reason now, in my opinion, that Call of Duty should be getting 90s, 80s, 90s, 80s, 90s. It's the same game. There shouldn't
Yeah.
be any reason that Madden's getting. I think one time they got like a 60 or whatever, right? But from the last 10 years, though, they've been getting tens or not tens, but like nines, eights, and stuff like that. And no one's calling them out on their repetitiveness. And if they do, it's like a little blurb or whatever. And
Or it's Angry Joe making his yearly "I hate Madden" video.
yeah, and I
Yeah.
respect Joe for that. He still
Yeah.
does it, like because it needs to change. That's
Bro,
one
he's done
game.
that video for years now, and it's been like fucking 6 years where he goes into the character creator for like my player and looks at dude, it's like the funniest thing, because dude, they just copy paste the character creator, like hairstyles and the look of the interface. It's all copy pasted. They don't even, like, there was like 1 year where they made new haircuts and they made some new like skin tones for some of the characters, or some of the people you could choose, and like they were like, oh wow, man, and like, oh, actually investing a little. And then they dug into it some more, and some of the new ones they added were like copy pasted from each other. Like
Yeah,
13 and 30 were the same face. It
yeah,
was like
yeah.
literally the same face. It was just, and oh, it's funny as
And then they
fuck
left some
because
assets from the older games in the games.
yes.
Yeah,
Oh
so
yeah. Oh
I
yeah.
mean,
Like yeah, Madden 21 has Madden 20 stickers all
and
or
I
on the
and
banners and stuff. Yeah.
even though those aren't like really hardcore gamers, I feel like mad sports fans are the epiphany of like old school people just keeping up this thing. That's their routine every year. They
Yeah.
buy the same game, and that needs to die. So it's like,
Yeah.
I mean,
Some
it's a
tradition or something like that they're
yeah,
like tied to. And I think that's my takeaway. That's what I want people to take away from this conversation is that ultimately to me the whole purpose of this is like, whether games evolve or not, or leave behind their old fans, is that we as fans need to hold these companies to account. It's like, to me, I don't mind if a series changes in big ways. You know, that doesn't bother me. Like Final Fantasy, I don't have a problem with Final Fantasy changing it up every iteration. Like I don't think that's bad. I like that they experiment with the formula, because the old school Final Fantasy formula got stale for me real fast. And imagine playing 9 of those like over the course of a 10-year period. I don't understand how so many people did that shit, because I can't fucking stand their turn-based battle systems. They're boring as hell. They're not fun. Like, they weren't fun for me. But that's me, you know? And maybe that appeals to some people. But that's kind of the thing, is like 10 still kind of had that turn-based system, but it was a little bit different. It had some differences to it. But then 12 was completely different. It was an action game, like an MMO style game almost. And it has its flaws, but the thing is, like, they still made a pretty quality game with that game, you know? And I think that's ultimately what I'm looking for out of these games, is like, if you're going to change the formula, that's fine. As long as the game is still good and fun and quality, that's the most important piece to it, you know? Because those old entries that had those old styles, they're not going anywhere. Like, they still exist. If you want to play those old games, they're there. And you know what? To Square's credit, Square, I think, is a great example of what we're talking about here, is that they don't forget their old fans. Dude, they have that like Octopath Traveler team making those old style RPGs. You know, they're making an SRPG right now with Triangle Strategy for people like me, you know, who are into Final Fantasy Tactics. So it's there's certain developers that really do cater to their old school fans too, while still trying to make something new as well. You know, with like Final Fantasy 15, as much as we hate that game, it's completely different though for Final Fantasy. It is a totally new thing, you know?
And we don't hate it because it's new. We hate it because it's actually designed bad. That's my take from it. Yeah. But
yeah, exactly. We don't think that's a quality game. But you know, that's again, subjective opinion, but that's the thing. I don't hate the game because I don't hate the game because it's different. We don't like it because it's ass, you know?
Exactly.
Especially when it came out. And don't try to defend that game from when it came out. You all will lose that argument. It's just it was terrible, okay? But so that's ultimately the point. I think that's where it comes down to for me, though, is quality is what speaks, you know, and whether a game series changes or not is one thing or another, and it may not appeal to you anymore, and that is unfortunate.
So that was the argument I did see, or the ultimate sentiment I got from everything. A lot of the younger generation wants people to just like, you know, the older generation, they feel like it's a sense of entitlement and everything like that. And I feel like the older, what I was getting from my older tweeters and everything like that play games, they just want the games to be held accountable. They just want quality games. They're like, hey, I don't really care. The reason I compare them to old games is because some of the older games that I had to compare them to had quality. They had love in them. This may have been out of date, but you can tell at the time that was groundbreaking. And I wanted to improve upon that. But instead, they just went something completely new and it was trash. But because it's new, everyone's saying that I don't like it because it's new. And it's like, that's not the issue. So it's like, it's a very nuanced conversation. I'm glad we had it. And hopefully like it would just kind of spread. And if we do get big, like people will come back to this episode and like, oh yeah, that's a good conversation. But
evergreen.
Yeah.
All right, well, let's talk about one that hopefully is an evergreen, Montrell. And this is actually a news item, I guess, technically. But so this week, these last few weeks, we kind of been building to this point, I'd say. But Twitch has had this phenomenon going on with female streamers in the ASMR section of Twitch, where they're kind of doing what I would consider softcore porn on screen on their streams. And two particular streamers, Amaranth and then Indie Fox, were banned earlier this week from Twitch. And you said that one of them actually came back. Was it Indie Fox or?
I think it was Amaranth, I believe.
Okay.
I think Amaranth came back.
And Amaranth is kind of her own thing to me a little bit, because she's just laden with controversy all the time. That woman, like, literally is always in the news because she does something fucking crazy on stream. Like, isn't she the one where her dog like licked her in the the private region on stream, and she didn't stop it or whatever? Like,
I think so. I think it was she had pants on, but I think
oh man, dude. So you know, she's a kind of controversial person, but these two aren't the only ones doing this. This is kind of become a bit of a trend on Twitch lately is that in the ASMR section, there are a lot of women kind of doing softcore porn things, meaning they're not naked, they're like fully clothed, but they're kind of miming sexual acts on Twitch and making sound effects that are very sexually suggestive and whatnot. And there's some pictures out there if you guys want to go peruse of these two in particular that are fucking wild. Shit's crazy to me. But so Montrell, where do you come down on this? I'd say I'm pretty traditional here on this front, but I want to hear your opinion.
So I'm pretty moderate. So the reason why I'm so mad is because, first of all, I don't bash sex workers. I think sex work is very hard. I used to date a webcam model. She told me the shit that she had to go through. It's actually a business that she has to provide a product for these people and everything of that nature. And they have deadlines, and that they expect that these people that pay have and it's nothing like prostitute here. It's like, she had a line of panties that she had to send out. You know what I'm saying? Like they wanted her panties or something like that, and she had to send it out. It was a business. So after learning all that, and the schedules they have to be on and everything of that nature, and how they have to entertain people and everything of that nature, it's just like podcasting. It's just like being a radio host. You have to have a personality, and you have to entertain these people. You know what I'm saying? So it's not just getting up on camera, showing your boobs, and that's it. Like, you have to be, because anybody can do that. You have to have a personality and everything of that nature. So that's I want to get that out the way first. That being said, I think what these two are doing and others like them is a complete and utter disgrace to what sex work is. And I am not, and I may sound like a simp, but I'm not. Like, I don't pay for that, but I don't care if people do pay for it. It's just like, do your own thing, bro. I'm very libertarian with that shit. But as far as Twitch is not designed for this. Twitch is designed for gaming and other stuff. And honestly, I don't even like the other stuff that's going on, like the cooking and everything like that, because this was the one gaming platform that we had that was like gamer focused. And I think this really, really hurts the female streamers that game, like that really just play video games and they just have really great personalities. This really fucking hurts them. And that's why, and they were just starting to pop off and be really popular and everything, especially the streamers of color and the black streamers. They were really starting to pop off. And now you got this shit going on. And it's like, now these guys are coming to their streams expecting that type of shit. And they're like, bro, I have, like, there may be a girl with big boobs that, I mean, she doesn't flaunt it, but you can tell through her shirt that, obviously she has fucking big boobs or whatever. And it's like, I'm not about to show my boobs to get fucking streaming rights. It's like, yeah, I may wear a low cut shirt, but I can actually play these video games. Or I may wear a regular shirt and unfortunately, I just have fucking big boobs, bro. So deal with it.
Yeah.
And Twitch were banning girls off that shit. And it's like, they were banning girls for cleavage. And they were still playing video games. I remember this. We reported on this actually, like 2 years ago. And now it's like they're in bathtubs and all this shit like that. And in hot tubs and stuff. And I feel like, on one part of me, it's like, yes, queen, get your money, do what you need to do, queen, whatever. On the other hand, it's like, Twitch is not a porn site, though. Take that shit to Pornhub. They have a gaming division over there on Pornhub.
Yeah, Pornhub's, dude, they're ahead of the game over there, man. They got their shit together on that website.
And the reason I'm so disgusted by these two is because I feel like they know they can't compete with the girls on Pornhub, so they come here where it's easy bait. And I don't like that.
Well, because they're making a splash, dude. And like, okay, so this is where I come down on this. I agree with much of what Montrell said, right? I have very much respect for the adult film industry. I also do think, though, that industry is toxic towards women. Yeah. And I do think the trend with OnlyFans that has come recently, the last few years, is actually, I am in support of it because it has given the power to the women. Exactly. Who are usually the ones drawing people to these things, Yep. Obviously, there are people into men too, but online, I'd say the industry's probably more fueled by these hot women, right?
Pretty much, yep.
So I support that kind of development happening more recently. But this on Twitch, I don't support, because the key thing for me is this just isn't the right platform for it. Like
Exactly.
I think they both have OnlyFans sites, but what they're doing is like they're just trying to drum up drama on Twitch to get eyeballs on their channel. That's literally all they're doing. It's just a fame grab. That's what they're trying to do. And I don't like this development. And I really wish Twitch would come down harder on this, because I'm with Montrell is that this fucking site has been like gaming kind of built Twitch. And it is kind of frustrating right now to think about streaming as a gamer, because we're thinking about it. Me and him both want to stream, and one of our friends actually wants to stream too. And we're thinking about doing it together. And it's frustrating though to think we're gonna go into this realm where we have to compete with shit like this, and there's no place for us, for just us, for just gamers. It's like, and maybe there shouldn't be, but the problem is there's no competition to Twitch. Facebook sucks. You don't want it. Nobody wants to use Facebook because you got to tie your real fucking account with whatever you're streaming on. Fuck that shit. And then YouTube gaming is a fucking joke. Like, like there's big personalities on there, but the only reason Doc's on there is because he has to be, because Twitch banned him, like, so it's like the options are just limited, and to have this platform kind of get diluted by this stuff is really disappointing, because it's not genuine. This isn't a genuine thing. They're like, they know what they're doing, like they are fucking over some of those other female streamers, who are not doing this stuff, who don't want to do this stuff. Like they want nothing to do with this shit. And now all of a sudden they are like bringing down people's viewpoint of this platform, where other people are going to go, like Montrell literally said this, like go into their stream and like Pokimane, for instance, they're going to go into her stream and be like, hey, like, oh, why don't you do some of that stuff that like Indie Fox is doing on her stream? And it's like, no, she doesn't want to do that. She just wants to fucking game on stream, It's like they're going to get harassed for not being a sex stream, And that sucks. That's terrible. That is bringing the platform down. Like that is making it worse. And I really hope Twitch gets this under control, because to me, I think they're really playing with fire if they let this stuff kind of become the norm on the platform. Like I really think this could be bad for Twitch in the long run, They don't want to be a porn network. Like, I don't think they want to be that, Like Pornhub, as much as they have their shit together, they are kind of a meme though. It's like really funny, how much shit they have going on. And it's like, when anything sex related, Pornhub's got it, man. Like whatever you can think of, they got some category for it on there. Shit's crazy, but so
I
don't know.
I agree. Like I just think, I just really think it's hard to shift blame, right? It's hard to put blame on these two as well, because they're using a system that is exploitable.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
I mean, they're just doing what's in the bounds of the system.
Yeah,
and
but
I think
there are kids watching this platform, dude. Like,
and I get that, but
yeah, I don't know.
It's almost like, and this is like I'm so reaching with this comparison, but whatever, I'm going to say it. It's almost like a drug dealer going to a neighborhood, and there are kids there who's like, I don't give a fuck. There are also adults who want drugs, and if the kids want to buy it, cool, they can buy it too. I don't care. I just want my money.
Yeah.
And that's kind of what Twitch is to these people. They just want their money. They don't really care who is coming in. Twitch puts a little soft,
getting it.
Yeah. Twitch puts a soft block on there. Hey, are you over the age of 18? Yes, I am. Thank you. Or your account doesn't seem to be over the age of 18. All right, I'm going to make another new account with a fake email, and now I'm 18 on this email. So it's easier to do that. I think the ultimate, the thing comes down to Twitch. And what I think is, if Twitch really wants to keep this their thing, make a separate site, or make a sister site. Twitch After Dark, Twitch, whatever you want to call it. Twitch,
adult Twitch or
adult
something.
Twitch, or I don't even know what adult version of a Twitch is. You can be like, no, I don't fucking know. Like, what's a Twitch? You twitching? So a shake. You're like, oh, I'm about to go to shake now, or whatever the fuck.
Yeah.
I don't know. But like, you can do that, and you can have those streamers that way they can still have their profiles, and they just easily migrate it over to there. Or you start hard. You stick with your bans, and then you don't ban them, right? You ban them, and that's it. Or you just keep doing what you're doing. But I think if you keep doing what you're doing, parents are going to start getting wind of this. stream sponsors are going to start getting pulled, and that's when this is going to start getting messy. I don't think it's going to happen within the next year. Probably the next 2 or 3 years, I can see this really being a big thing, because this was the downfall of what's that site called? Tumblr. Tumblr couldn't get advertising because it was too much porn on there. But they didn't know how to advertise it. They didn't know how to block it, or they didn't know how to separate it. And instead of just making like a separate thing, or having like, hey, you guys can go over here and do your Tumblr thing, but then this is reserved for regular Tumblr. It ultimately just destroyed the platform. And they were just like, no adult stuff. And I don't think the same thing would happen to Twitch, because Twitch was built upon gaming. But they're probably making so much money from these bathtub or these hot tub streamers and softcore porn streamers that it's kind of hard to ignore at this point. And I think that's where they're at, and that's where their conundrum's at. So Twitch needs to do something about it. Either make a partner, if you don't want to make your own platform, partnership with fucking Pornhub, and just have them do it or whatever,
That's true. Yeah, that's fair.
But then, on the other hand of that, right, I think the female streamers that are doing this, and maybe there's not just female streamers. I'm pretty sure there are male streamers and other other genders of streamers doing this as well. I think they're afraid to compete with the competition that they have to compete on with all these other webcam sites and porn streaming sites, because those people are professionals. They've been doing this for maybe a couple years, or not even a couple years. They just know how to do it, and they don't want. Maybe they want. I also think it's like a morality thing. They want to feel they're on their high horse. Like, oh, well, at least I'm not on porn. I'm on Twitch, so technically I'm not an adult streamer. Yes, you are. You're an adult streamer. You're still an adult streamer. You're just doing it on Twitch. And I think that's one thing, like the stigma. They don't want that stigma, so they use Twitch as well. So it's a competition. It's the lack of competition, or the abundance of competition they have to deal with, and the stigma of being on a porn site. They can say, technically, I'm a streamer. I'm not a porn star. Or I'm not a porn streamer. I'm not a porn this or that. I'm not an adult star or adult webcam model. It's like, technically you are, though. You're a softcore porn webcam model. And you're writing your name. You're not even playing games. Like, I think half the time they're not playing games. They're just sticking mics up their butt, or making blowjob noises,
licking their mic,
or writing their names of the people, or the top donors on their boobs and stuff like that. That's okay, but you can do it on Pornhub.
Yeah, I think this goes. I want to just make one more comment about the kids thing, because I think the thing is, this is what Twitch has to really think about here, is that if they let this continue unabated, they're going to risk getting pulled from things that have become common, like smart TVs have Twitch as an app that you can download. They're going to get taken off if this stuff is on there, there's no Pornhub app on your smart TV. They're not doing that, because these are things that kids can get access to, and that, I think, it's a risk. It's a risk, man. It's ultimately a risk. So,
I didn't even think about that. Yeah, because Twitch is so accessible to a lot of people.
Yeah, dude, think about our friend. We have a friend who has 2 kids, and one of them's 9 or 10 almost. And he's well, I don't think he's that old. I think he might be 7 or 8, but he knows how to navigate a television, like a smart television.
Yeah.
He can go to Twitch. He goes to Twitch on his own. That's kind of the thing, is he goes to Twitch on his own, and let's just say she pops up, Amaranth pops up, it's
because they do show that shit. They do, the top streamers, they show that,
Absolutely, dude. Who's top concurrence right now or something like that. And that can easily happen. That's not that unfathomable. And to me, when I become a parent, dude, I'm not gonna let my kids on Twitch if this shit is happening, probably,
Yeah.
I'm just not, because it makes me uncomfortable. It's I don't want them seeing that when they're 8. It just, I don't know. So yeah, I don't know. It's an interesting situation over there. It really is. It's kind of funny to watch, because it's ballooned more than I expected it would. But Twitch has been really slow to react, I feel to it.
They're making so much money off of it. They are.
Man,
There's no reason in what world is Doc banned, and then these guys are making blowjob noises and showing half their boobs and stuff like that, and they're not banned, and they get banned, and they get unbanned.
They get unbanned after like 2 days. Yeah. Doc's been banned for like what, a year now?
And we still don't know why he's banned.
We still don't know why. Yeah.
So it's like I said, I'm all for women empowerment and I'm all for sex work. I think there's a place for that though. And we already have established places for that. Twitch is not the place for that. Because first of all, fuck my male entitlement, right? Fuck that shit. These women streamers are on here. They work just as hard as like Ninja and everybody else, and they get half the fucking credit. And now they were just starting to get the wave. Like female streaming was just starting to be a thing where it's starting to become non-toxic, and people are watching them for the personalities and everything of that nature. And then this shit happens, and it's like I just feel like they pushed female streaming back tenfold, and Twitch needs to do something about it.
Agreed. All right, Montrell. We got one more segment to get through. We got to get through our listener questions. Dat dude, once again, coming through. He's got 2 questions for us this week, man. So, first one, do you guys prefer digital or physical games? Why? I mean, this is well-trodden ground for this podcast. But, Montrell, let's go ahead. You can go first on this one.
I'll be first, and I'll probably be quick because we talked about this so many times.
Yeah.
I prefer physical games, although I will buy digital here and there. The games I really want and I really like, I will try to get physical. And if I can't get physical, then I'll get digital. That's like a last resort, though. But I personally prefer physical games over digital games. It's just something about seeing, because I'm a collector, so it's something about seeing my actual collection physically in front of me to the left of my consoles. That makes me feel happy, and I don't know why.
Mine's the same. Mine's in the same spot to the left of my consoles.
Yeah. So
and it's like 1.5 feet tall.
So that's how I feel about it. I don't really have a disdain towards digital. I know they can do the same thing as far as pulling licenses and put your physical disc in and it doesn't work. I know they can do that shit. So with physical games, like render your disc useless. But I still just feel very about it. I don't want to commit 100% to it, if that makes any sense.
Okay, so I will say, this is interesting. I still prefer physical for most games. Like games that I truly love, I prefer physical. But I will say, recently, like since I got the PS5, and then even with the Xbox Series X, it's kind of getting weird because me having to swap my game out, like the disc out of my console, and then get the other game's disc and put it in, takes longer than it does for the game to load. Like much longer. In fact, it's probably a minute or so. The game loads in like 5 seconds. So it's like it is kind of a weird mental shift that I'm starting to have, where like I am getting annoyed when I'm playing multiple games at once and I decide I want to play a different game and I have to go switch the discs out. I'm like, God damn it. I kind of want to just like click on it and like play it,
Yeah, that's a good point. That's a good point.
I mean, it's the epitome of laziness. Yeah, I'm not going to lie. It is the epitome of laziness, but there is some kind of luxurious appeal to it. But that notwithstanding, I have a hard time. I still have a hard time wrapping my head around the idea of paying $70 for something that I don't really own.
So that's my biggest gripe with digital.
Yeah,
I don't understand why I'm still paying more when I buy digital. There's no production in it. There's no distribution. Yeah, it may cost an extra couple dollars to put it on the server of these platforms. I still think like if I'm paying $70 for a physical, it should be like maybe $60 for the digital, or maybe even $55.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. They're making their big rip from digital. That's their push. So I think the only reason digital, I think, another reason it has an appeal to me though, is the sales that happen on the consoles. are often really fucking good. They've started to rival Steam. Like they're actually better than Steam a lot of the time now. It's been like that for a few years, and PlayStation has gotten real crazy with their sales. There's a sale going on PlayStation like all the fucking time, and if you're a PlayStation Plus subscriber, you're getting really steep discounts on some stuff, like 70% off in certain cases. So um that is a situation where I do buy digital for sure. Is when I can get a game for $10 that cost 70 when it came out. Like, I mean, and I know it's a great game and it's something I'm gonna like. Like, that's a no brainer a lot of the time. So, yeah, but I still prefer physical. Just the ability to resell it is such an advantage to me. You know, I haven't been doing it lately, but um when I do decide to do it though, it's a few $100 back in my pocket, like that buys me a few games, when I sell a bunch of games on Mercari or eBay or something.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I think that element to it is always going to be important to me. So that fact alone is just such a huge advantage to physical. So all right. Our second question from that dude. So he says, I'm seeing takes that state that Sony must have an answer for Xbox Game Pass or they will fail, which I don't believe to be true. What's your take on it?
I think we talked about this earlier too. That's a good question. And we
We
talked
haven't
about it.
talked about this recently, though. We
Yeah, I
talked
was just
about
about to
this
say,
like several months ago.
I was
but
just about to say that I think
yeah.
the conversation has evolved since the last time we talked about it.
Mm-hmm.
I'm still in the place where I think, and this is going to sound surprising, that Sony doesn't really need an answer to Xbox Game Pass right now.
Yeah.
I would like for them to have an answer, but they honestly don't need it. I think their fan base is big enough to where they can self-sustain themselves, to where they can actually make it within the next couple of years and make it like robust and not just like a piece of trash.
Mm-hmm.
Or they can turn PS Now into a Game Pass, which I think that would probably be the best course of action for them. But for right now, I don't think Sony needs to have an answer because their games are just their first party games speak for themselves, in my opinion. Yeah, and their exclusives and everything of that nature, even the games that are not first party, that are second party or third party that exclusively go over to them, your Final Fantasies, your Personas, all that shit like that. They just have a vast library that people would, we would love for it to be on Game Pass, but it's not. So it's on the PlayStation. I'm going to play it on PlayStation.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, I'm still of the mind with this that I just don't think Sony can afford to have their own Game Pass, because the economics of it don't make sense. Like, Game Pass is still not profitable for Microsoft, despite the fact that it's making 60 or they have 20 million subscribers a month. That's fucking crazy. That's how much money they're throwing out for this service to like make it valuable. So Sony doesn't have that kind of money to throw around. They're not that liquid. In comparison to Microsoft, they actually have a lot of cash on hand, but like they don't want to blow all that though to like make this service that might not even succeed. So I think Sony's chipping away in other ways, which is why I think they're exploring television and movies and things like that, because I think that's what they want to do. I think like these shows that they're making with HBO and stuff, there's a very strong possibility they're going to be available on PlayStation in some way through PlayStation Plus or maybe some sort of partnership with HBO that you can get it on PlayStation for a discount or something like that. And you can watch them directly on your PS5. I think that is inevitable, and I think that's going to happen with these shows and the movies as well. And I think that seems to be what Sony's strategy feels like. And I think their partnerships with these second party studios that they've announced in the last few months, Haven, and Deviation, and there was one other one I'm forgetting the name of, but I think that is another way that they're going to be trying to compete as well. And obviously those are more big box games that they're selling, like $60-$70 games, but I think they want to continue to enrich that first party ecosystem, and I think they just realize that that's still such a huge advantage for them. Like that Forbes article we talked about a couple weeks ago, comparing the pricing of Game Pass versus buying games a la carte with PlayStation. Like, I mean, why is that a bad thing for Sony? If they continue to sell games at that rate, why would they stop? Like Microsoft almost seems silly. Like they're almost leaving money on the table, at a certain point, which is literally what they're doing with their first party games. So, I think Sony's fine just sitting and absorbing the extra cash that they're getting from their box copies, So yeah, maybe down the road it's going to hurt them, but I don't know. I don't see it. I don't see people abandoning PlayStation, as long as the first party games continue to be strong, I think PlayStation is going to be fine.
Yeah. Xbox has to come out with a serious catalog of like mind blowing first party games.
But even if they do, I still don't think Sony's in trouble per se.
Yeah, I just think it's really good competition at this point.
Yeah,
and it'll force Sony to be better in what they're doing. And this is just coming from an objective standpoint because I like both consoles almost equally at this point. So it's like, I've been playing my PlayStation more than my Xbox for the last couple of years. Honestly, I was an Xbox advocate, but now I was like, I'm on PlayStation, and I'm like, it's not bad. There are stuff that PlayStation can improve, but it's like a lot of people would deal with it because the games are just so great. So yeah, I agree for the most part. That's all I got though.
Cool, me too. Well, Montrell, let's call it quits. I was right ultimately. We said this episode going in, we were going to try to get it in at around an hour, and here we are, 90 minutes in. We just can't help ourselves, dude. It's like we're like locked into the hour and a half to 2 hour window.
Very, very decent. Hour and 30 minutes is very decent compared to our last
this
episode.
Is great.
Yeah,
absolutely, this is great. I don't want those 3 hour episodes that we had back at the beginning of the show.
I don't know how the fuck we did that shit.
Dude, I don't know how we did that shit either. I think we were just having fun, so much fun because it was like new to us. And we were like, we were doing something new together and we were collaborating. Like we didn't mind as much, but like as we've done this over the years, the last couple of years now, like, dude, a 3 hour show to me just sounds horrible. Like if it's organic and we end up doing it, it's fine. But it's like, I'm not going out. Like, I don't think I'm setting out at the beginning of any show to like go that long,
Yeah.
So yeah, because we got lives. I want to go play Final Fantasy right now. I'm also tired. It's been a really long week. So
same.
Let's do it, man. Let's go do it. So, all right, guys, that's going to be it for the show this week. So if you like this episode, please like the episode, review the show, and subscribe to the show on whatever feed you were listening to it on. And please share it with your friends. If you'd like to interact with either of us on Twitter, you can do so at iTrapForTheHokage for Montrell. That's the number 4, not the word. I'm at ThunderNut01, and the show is at The Player's Take. If you'd like to send us a question, you can do so on Twitter, or you can send us an email to theplayerstake01@gmail.com. And that's it for us, guys. We hope you enjoyed this episode, and we'll see you next week. Bye.